Good morning. The US dollar is rising in value against most foreign currencies. This is mainly because of high interest rates in the United States. So foreign holders of US dollars can lend the money to the US government. This means that US dollars that are abroad go back to the United States for the US Treasury to borrow and spend back home. This causes more inflation in the United States. US dollars that are overseas go back to the US, more dollars there. And it means fewer dollars that are abroad. So the US dollar outside the United States is more valuable than one inside. It's a paradox that in the United States, you're suffering from high inflation there and it's getting worse, and yet the US dollar is rising in value everywhere else. So the demand for gold overseas should be falling. Gold is priced in US dollars, and foreign investors need to give up their USD, which are ironically more valuable outside the US than in, to buy the gold, then ship it out. But that is what investors are doing. And it's not just investors, it's central bankers, it's governments. Why would a government bank, especially in the developing world, choose to use their valuable US dollars to buy gold? After all, they could simply lend it to the United States government and get a good return back, or they could finance cross-border trades, but they're buying gold instead. Here is Barron's. Invasion of the Ukraine caused a lot of people in a lot of places to worry about US exposure. China, India, Turkey, and central banks in other countries dramatically increased their gold buying. China is already the world's largest producer of gold, by the way. They've got plenty of gold coming out of the ground right here. So it's not like they need more. China's central bank isn't buying gold, they're selling dollars. And it started in a big way in late 2022. Here's the buying from China's central bank. UBS says Russia and the sanctions sent shock waves around the world. BOC International, China's bank, is reducing its exposure to the USD. Despite what we mentioned before, that higher interest rates and a strong US dollar, gold keeps going up anyway. The sanctions destroyed the trust in the monetary system. Central banks had to diversify their holdings, sell dollars, and buy gold. When Russia's US dollar holdings were frozen, the first central banks to move in that direction were China and India. When China decides to start buying, its size means that the gold price is going higher. China is just too big. But let's look at Bloomberg. They show that China's buying is slowing down a little bit. But emerging market central banks are continuing in their buys. This part is strange. Bloomberg says that in the first quarter, January through March, central bank buying of gold was the highest ever, and China was the driver. Now China is backing off a bit, but the developing market central banks keep buying. What's more, we're not exactly sure who is doing the buying. Mystery buyers among those institutions. Bloomberg knows everything, but they can't figure out who's doing all this gold buying for the central banks. These buyers are going through proxies for some reason to buy the gold, concealing their identity at settlement, and then taking delivery. Central banks should not have mystery buyers, but they're using third parties to mask what they are doing in the gold markets. I have my own theory, which is still under development, let's say, but when you consider what a shock to the global financial system that the sanctions were, how foreign assets can be seized if they're anywhere in a bank or in a financial institution that is connected to the SWIFT system, that's a good place to start if we're trying to figure out why central banks in the developing world are buying their gold executed in this way now. Tea plantation. Not sure exactly where. Be good.
Persecution and the trials that are going to follow. Amen. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.